Hi everyone, I'm Nate Drakenator, and today I want to talk about the difference between two different tactile toys, Kinetic Sand and Mad Matter. Now, I went to Toy Fair New York a couple of weeks ago, and I got to play with some Mad Matter, and they gave me a sample to play with, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I spent the whole day thinking about it. I spent the whole next week thinking about it, and I haven't been able to stop playing with it. And I've had my Kinetic Sand for a while, and I really liked it. But as soon as I touched Mad Matter, I realized I liked it way more. So I wanted to do a video, and I wanted to show you some of both of them, and why they're different, and why I like Mad Matter more. So, let me change my camera, and we'll get to it. Okay, so this is my sand tray. I think it's really pretty. I actually bought it for $1 at Goodwill once, and it's got these awesome, like, lipped sides so that stuff doesn't fall out, and it's got handles, and I just also think the background is super pretty. But this is my sand tray, and I'm going to use it today. And I want to point out, first of all, that I've played with Kinetic Sand and Mad Matter on this tray, and you can see a lot of pink staining around here, and that is from the Kinetic Sand. And that's one of the things that I don't like about playing with Kinetic Sand, is that it has a lot of dye in it, and while it makes it really pretty and fun, it can kind of stain things if you play with it too long. Like, if I play with it for maybe, 20 minutes, 45 minutes, my hands get kind of pink by the time I'm done, like if I was playing with Sculpey clay. And it's really noticeable, and I didn't really like that about it. So, I'm just going to pour it out right here. Crumply, crumply. So, there's some Kinetic Sand. And I really like a lot of things about Kinetic Sand. I do. It falls apart really well. It's got a really fun texture. I love putting my hands on it. Like, it feels really good to touch. I like its bright colors. I like its kind of like sandy texture, because it does feel kind of like wet sand, you know? And I think that is really fun, and I think there's a reason people like it. And I think there's a reason I like it. It just feels good. And lots of people talk about how it makes a really good sound when you cut it. It sounds like sand. So it feels really good, and it falls apart in a really fun, bright, and colorful way. And that's really great. However, it does have a couple of problems where it can be messy, because it is kind of hard to pick up. So when you want to clean it up, you can try to get into like a kind of a tight little ball, but sometimes you'll have these little pieces that kind of fall apart, and it gets kind of stuck to your hands, and especially if you play with it too long, it gets kind of sandy on your hands. So while it's a lot cleaner than playing with like actual sand, it's still a little bit messy. You definitely want to use a tray or something when you use it. You don't want to use it in bed or something like that. And also, it can't hold its shape. Like, if I was going to sculpt a dog out of this, it wouldn't stay. It would fall apart. Which I guess isn't a problem if you're not looking to make a dog. But if you are, well, you can't. And then there's my Mad Matter. And I don't actually have a package for this, unfortunately, because it was given to me in a sample pack. But it is a lot firmer than Kinetic Sand is. So you can make this big tube, and it'll kind of hold it. But when you start to pull it apart, it gloops just like Kinetic Sand does. But it's actually made out of silicone instead of sand, so it's a completely different material. And it does a bunch of cool stuff. Like, it sticks only to itself and never to you. Like, I never get this stuff stuck to my hands or anything like that. And the dye doesn't come out like Kinetic Sands can. It's never on my hands. My hands are never purple. My stuff never turns purple. I love that about it. I love that my stuff... I have to make this hard. I love that my stuff never turns purple. I like that you can tear it really easily. It feels almost like Play-Doh. I also like that you can just sort of like gloop, and just it falls apart like Kinetic Sand. And it feels like sand. Like it's a smooth texture and somehow it's still sandy. I don't know how to describe it. It just it's mesmerizing. Once I get my hands on it, I can't stop playing with it. It's hard to stop once you start because it's so much fun. But it doesn't really make that much of a mess, so I wouldn't feel bad playing with this somewhere else. Like I've played with this in the car and I've played with this in bed. I bring my little tray where I keep it in with me, but generally speaking, I'm not really worried about dropping it anywhere because it's kind of fine. It'll stick to itself and it doesn't really do that. It's great. I love it. And also, it's pretty firm, so if you roll it up into a ball, like a really tight little ball, it gets really dense, boop, and it'll hold its shape like this, but then just as easily fall apart again. And that's just super cool. So it doesn't have that sort of like crumbly thing that Kinetic Sand does. So maybe Kinetic Sand looks better on video, I think. If you were going to play with one of these for a video, I think Kinetic Sand is going to look better. But if you actually want to play with one and put your hands on it, Mad Matter is just so much more fun to play with and to roll around in your hands and to make stuff with. Because I can make a pretty decent dog. Boop, boop. Well, I lost his body, but I'd say that's kind of a decent shape. Like, it's not good, but it's better than Kinetic Sand can do. Look at these nice flat ears they've got going on. Ta-da! And yet, he'll just fall right apart when I want him to. And I think that's really nice about it, is that it doesn't feel like things fall apart before I want them to. But Mad Matter can also make a lot of really good sounds. I think it's a little bit quieter. I will be honest, it's a little bit quieter. But it still makes some really good sounds too. So it really depends on what it is that you're trying to do. Like Kinetic Sand is really, really pretty, and again, yeah, I think I would recommend it if you wanted to do it for a video. But if you actually want to sit down and play with one, I'd recommend Mad Matter every single time. It's way more fun to play with, and it has better cleanup, and it doesn't stain your hands, and just everything about it I like so much more. So that's going to be my review and recommendation today. And if you have played with these toys before, let me know. If you have another kind of Kinetic Sand or tactile toy that you really like and you want to tell me about it, you can do that. You can leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. It would really mean a lot to me if you did. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel. But in any case, I hope you have a really good day, and Nader's out.